All right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right, I want to do a quick reply to this vision, all right, that this, this so-called black woman had, a Judite woman, Judah, you know what I'm saying, a so-called Negro woman, all right, had, basically a vision of, all hell breaking loose out here, all right, like the title says. And Eve shares vision of SHTF, shit hitting the fan, Eve being the so-called black woman. When you go back to, the garden, Adam and Eve, that's what that's referring to. So anyways, so we're going to let this play. And then I kind of want to focus on this Ebola thing. All right. So like we're going to see in this video. All right. She had mentioned that in her vision, there was a V to the iris outbreak. All right. So let's just let this play. And then we'll grab these scriptures, grab this little thing from ChatGPT. All right. So, hey, without further ado, let's get it.
Hey everyone, I'm coming on here today to talk about the dream that I had last night. Excuse me if I have I just got to eat Oreos. But the dream I had last night was a mess. People laugh at me because when I go to the grocery store, I try to get 8 cases of water a month. And then I always get double of everything if I can. And in my dream, there was no power, no grocery stores, no gas. You couldn't get in your car and drive. We had no gas, no food trucks. It was a famine. It was a whole bunch of sick people. It was some kind of virus out. But a lot of us were isolated. We were pretty much shelter in place. And I seen these 3 people trying to break into my house, and I'm like, oh no, I can't let them know that I got all this food and water here, because if I let them know, they'll probably try to hurt me to take all my stuff. And I had cases on cases of water, and they was just like, we don't have anything. I was like, I've been telling y'all on TikTok and on Facebook to stock up. I said, but y'all never thought anything was gonna happen. So what I tell you from what I'm telling you is that it's coming. It was a blackout, and it was going on for a long time. It went on for a good little while, probably about a month or close to a month, and it was bad out in the streets. You had people robbing other people. You had people nobody really had any money, so they were robbing people for food. And then you had some people helping each other. And it was really bad. It just the hood on steroids times 20. It was real bad. But in the dream, it was just like The Last of Us. It was just like sickness, just people like zombies just walking around. It was just bad. It was real bad. But God was still there. God still seeing us through. You had people that had God in their lives. It wasn't as bad on them. They knew that God would provide. But
Salakia, real quick. She said it was people that had God, the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai with them. All right, and it wasn't so bad for them. All right, so we'll get this in 1 second. Let's see, is that Psalms 34? Alive in famine. Let's get this, and we'll jump right back to the video. All right. So Salaki, but this is Psalms 33:18. Behold, the eye of the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, which is who? The hopefully elect, baby. All right, that's us. We fear him. We hope in his mercy. These other people don't. They don't know the Lord, to keep their soul, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. The Lord is going to keep us alive during this famine. All right, we just got to stay faithful until the end. All right, because he's not a liar. All right, as long as we stay in this thing and we keep pushing, we stay doing the right thing, then the Lord is going to be with us. All right. Verse 20, our soul waiteth for the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name, which is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahweh Shai. All right. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Yahweh in the name of his son Yahweh Shai. Okay, Ba'in Hada Shem name. All right. Let thy mercy, O Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, be upon us, according as we hope in thee. Woo! So, hey, that's going to be us, Lord's will. All right. We're going to be all right during this, So, Salakia, I just wanted to add that in.
I love y'all. Be easy. Stay prayed up during this time. Make sure you are in God's will. Make sure you have a prayer life, because you're going to need it.
Yep.
Make sure you stay faithful. Make sure your faith don't waver, because with times like this, it'll make you doubt. It will make you lose your faith. But stay prayed up, because you stay prayed up, you stay in God's will. When these hard times come, he going to protect you.
That's right.
I can't make it without God's protection. I cannot make it without God at all. So make sure y'all just get your hearts right. Stay in the presence of the Lord, because you'll be amazed that you being in the presence of the Lord, God will have it fixed to the point that you won't be hungry. Because in the dream, I had all this food, but I had no hunger, because I had the Lord. Because you live not out bread alone, but only out of the words that proceeded out of the mouth of God. And you need that word daily to be able to function, to be able to just make it throughout life.
Yeah,
but I love y'all. Be easy. Have a good one.
All right, cool. So, yeah, there you go. So she had that vision, and I believe she said there was a V to the iris going around. I believe she said that, right? But I know it was another person's vision. A very similar vision on this brother's page. Hopefully, like 3. Subscribe, be edified. Brother does great videos. I think it may have been this one right here. Eve shares dream of chaos in America. I believe this lady also had seen like a V to the iris outbreak. So the Lord is putting that spirit out there of there is going to be a V to the iris. All right. So what I had asked ChatGPT, I said, what exactly is so concerning about this current Ebola, I'll say it like that, Ebola outbreak? All right. Which we know that this is engineered. All right. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right. We believe that Schmil Schmates, all right, Bill Gates of Hell, all right, is behind this. All right. And ultimately the central bankers are behind it, but ultimately who's behind the central bankers? Who's controlling them? The Most High is. Man's goings are of the Lord. Proverbs 20 and 24. That applies to everybody. That applies even to the top wicked elite of Esau, Edom. The Most High is controlling them. All right. So anyway, it says, what has experts worried about the current Ebola outbreak? Oh shit, I said it. Is not just Ebola by itself, but a combination of several unusually bad factors happening at the same time. Okay, here are the biggest concerns. 1, the strain has involved no approved schmaxine. Okay, so they don't have any treatment for it, or they may have ways to stop the symptoms, but to actually combat the V to the iris itself, that's a no-go. All right. It says this outbreak is being driven primarily by the rare Bundibugyo strain of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda. Unlike the better-known Zaire strain, there is currently no licensed schmaxine or proven targeted treatment for Bundibugyo Ebola. All right, that makes containment harder because officials cannot rely on the same schmaccination ring strategy that helped stop prior outbreaks. All right, number 2, It is spreading in a conflict zone. A major part of the outbreak is centered in eastern Congo, where there are armed militias, displaced populations, attacks on medical infrastructure, and distrust of authorities. All right, so it's a bad situation out there. They're having a tough time keeping this thing locked down. All right, and they also, I've been hearing that that they basically have not had, you know, sufficient enough time to contain like everybody that may have possibly been exposed to it. They believe that there are many people who have been exposed and the virus V to the iris is lying dormant in them, and it's just kind of spreading. You know what I'm saying? Because you could spread something without you really showing the symptoms. You know, you could have a small amount of the V to the iris in your body, and then maybe you have a long conversation with somebody or whatever, and a little tiny bit of like, you know, spit. Of course, you don't, of course, not intentional, you know, it's kind of nasty to think about, but maybe a little tiny bit of spit, you know, gets in the air and they breathe it in or whatever. Now they got it, you know? So it's little things like that could spread this thing, you know? So it could be more spread than what they already know. And that's a concern that they have. All right. So, it says health workers reportedly cannot safely reach some communities, and some patients have fled treatment or quarantine centers. They don't even want treatment. Ebola is much easier to stop when contact tracing is fast and organized. Conflict destroys that process. Yeah, that's what I was saying, man. It's all over the place, and they don't really, you know, it's been going on for months, from what I've heard, right? And it could have spread to many, many other people that they just have no idea about. You know, they went back to, you know, other countries or whatever, you know, other neighboring African countries, and spread it there. You know, basically, you know, who's to say, you know? It says cross-border movement is extremely high. The affected areas sit near busy borders between Congo, Uganda, and South Sudan. There is constant movement for trade, mining, and refugees. Cases have already crossed into Uganda, including in or near Kampala, which is concerning because dense urban spread is far harder to contain than isolated rural cases. All right, and you know what I'm saying? That's it, you know, because where it broke out in the Congo, you know, you see videos of it. It's like jungle, you know, kind of like villages in the jungle, basically, you know. But if it gets into an urban area, you know, it's going to spread like wildfire, right? You know, I'm not like an expert on this, you know, but it just makes sense that would be the case, you know. It says, the outbreak may already be larger than official confirmed numbers. Officials have reported many more quote-unquote suspected cases than laboratory confirmed ones. Some reports mention hundreds to over 1,000 suspected infections and hundreds of suspected deaths. All right, so this is pretty severe over there. All right, pretty goddamn severe, you know. That suggests testing capacity may be overwhelmed, cases may be going undetected, and transmission chains may already be wider than known. WHO, the who dat, okay, like the elder Yashawamba be saying, the who dat, you know, who dat is now scaling up testing infrastructure because of this concern. All right, Ebola is deadly and hospitals can amplify spread. Depending on the strain and healthcare quality, Ebola fatality rates can be very high. Bundi Bugyo, however you say that shit. Salakia, Bundi Bugyo outbreaks historically have had mortality rates around 30 to 50%. That's crazy high. You know what I'm saying? Ebola also spreads efficiently through bodily fluids, caregiving, unsafe burials, and inadequate infection control in clinics. If hospitals lack protective equipment or isolation capacity, hospitals themselves can become transmission hubs. International authorities declared a global emergency. All right, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. That is the WHODATs, highest formal alert level and means officials believe the outbreak poses international risk. Boom, there you go. You know, so we could very well see this thing come to America if it's not here already, you know, lying dormant, and they just haven't reported on it, you know. Coordinated global action is needed. Yeah, because you think like, oh, well, it's just over there in Africa. Well, shit, you know, it could very easily spread to somebody that could jump on a plane that could take it to, you know, I don't know, Europe or Asia or North America, South America, Australia, whatever. And then from there it goes to other people, and they jump on flights and they infect the whole flight. And now everybody on the flight was exposed to it. And now they all went to, you know, wherever they went, you know, and then it just spreads, you know. And it says, and failure to contain it could allow broader regional spread. All right. Funding and response problems are emerging. Health officials are also worried that response funding is weakening even as the outbreak grows. Africa CDC recently warned that pledged funding dropped sharply while cases increased. All right. It says historically delayed response is one of the biggest reasons Ebola outbreaks spiral. All right. That said, most public health agencies still assess the risk to the general public in countries like the U.S. as low right now. All right. Ebola is not airborne like measles or the Crown Vic in normal settings, and it usually requires close contact with infected bodily fluids. All right, so I asked then, is there reason to be concerned about spread to North America? It says at the moment, public health agencies still consider the risk of widespread Ebola transmission in North America to be low, but not literally zero. All right, so you know, you kind of read through this. I don't want to bore you to death with all this stuff. You know, we already read a lot of this ChatGPT stuff. So let's get, of course, the word of the Most High, which is what this is all about, you know. So I had pulled up pestilences, right? Because our Lord, when he was on the scene, man, he spoke about there being pestilences, all right? And forgive me one sec. I just want to pull up. I'm in the whip right now. I want to grab this parking spot right here. So give me 2 seconds. All right. Baba Kusha. And yeah, there we go. All right, cool. Yeah, okay, that's good. All right, cool. So yeah, Salakia for that. St. Matthew 24:7. We'll start at 3 and jump down to 7. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? The end of the world meaning the end of the so-called white man's rulership. All right, when are you going to take this Roman Empire out of authority? You know, even though the Roman Empire at that time, it would have to die and then be reborn as America, which is propped up by NATO and the EU. And that's that, you know, that beast system, you know. And then it would have to die again, you know, when Yahushua comes back in this time to destroy America. All right. And to deliver his elect. So that word world is forever, an unbroken age, perpetuity of time, eternity. Okay, the world's universe, period of time, age. This is the so-called white man's period of time, his age to rule. All right, let's go to the Apocrypha real quick. Second Ezra 6 and 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world. Okay, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So Esau is going to be in power at the end of the world when the Lord comes back, and it's going to be his world that the Lord takes out, you know. So let's go back here. All right, let's jump down to verse 7. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. And we're seeing that, right? The Strait of Hormuz, all that fertilizer that did not come through, we're gonna start to see the effects of that. All right. 2 Ezra 6 and 22 tells you that suddenly the full storehouses shall be found empty. That's coming to America and the rest of the globe. All right. And the earth is a globe, by the way. I don't know if I just want to put that out there. The earth is not fucking flat. All right. I'm sorry to, you know, just in case anybody was like confused about that. I know you have a lot of new brothers and sisters. The earth is not flat. All right. The earth is a globe. All right, I just want to put that out there. All right, and there shall be famines and pestilences. So the Lord spoke about sicknesses coming. All right, and earthquakes in diverse places. All right, get that word pestilences. See if we get anything from that. Okay, that word is loimos.
Strong's G 3061. Loimas.
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 Right? Pestilence, right? Which let's see. We know what it means, but let's just see what it says. Pestilence means a fatal epidemic disease. All right, especially bubonic plague. All right, so a fatal disease, not just like, oh, you get the flu and now you gotta, lay in bed and you gotta miss work, you gotta eat chicken noodle soup and watch cartoons. When you're a kid, you get sick, you watch cartoons and you eat chicken noodle soup and stuff. No, this is fatal. This is deadly. All right, so this is what's gonna come upon the earth. All right, and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. All right, so let's also go to that other precept, pestilences, which he's basically saying the same thing, right? Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark, is it 13 or 18? Basically where the Lord was giving, because the Gospels line up, so this is, essentially the same thing, just kind of worded differently, Luke 21 and 11, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. Okay, so that's what's coming, man. All right, so we have a more sure word of prophecy. All right, so we are not worried about they're going to contain it, there's not going to be any big outbreak. Oh yes, there is going to be a big outbreak before the Lord comes, and it might not be Ebola, it might not be the Hanta Shmanta, all right? That little V to the Iris from that cruise ship, all right? Ultimately we don't know, but we do know that the Most High is going to bring pestilences upon this place and upon the whole world, all right? Let's go back to Sirach 40. I know I had it pulled up here. Then we can jump to 2nd Esdras 15 and 16, then we can close it out, all right? Sirach 40 and 9, it says, death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. These things are created for the wicked, and for their sakes came the flood. See that? The Most High has a lot of bad things stored up for the wicked, which is not only Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's the 2/3 of our people here in America and the rest of the non-elect throughout the globe. All you wicked-ass Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans, all right, you don't take heed to this word. You don't want to worship the true and living God, whose name is Yahweh, in the name of his son, Yahweh Shai. You want to keep committing adultery and worshiping idols, all right, and eating abominations, all right, and being Moes and sodomites and sickos, all right. You want to keep, just doing wickedly, man. Being gangbangers and shit. The Most High has something in store for you, all right? And it's death, bloodshed, strife. The sword, which the modern day sword is the gun. Calamities, all right? Famine, tribulation, and the scourge, all right? Nothing good, okay? So let's go to 2nd Ezra 16, actually, where it speaks about great mourning, all right? 2nd Ezra 16 and 17, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? Ezra was seeing the days that we're in right now. Pretty much right now, we're in the beginning of Jacob's trouble, and it's going to intensify. And then we're going to be live and direct in this prophecy, all right? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Well, Ezra is going to trust in the Lord, man, because he's, one of the Most High's elect, so he's going to be all right, even if he has to be a martyr, It says, behold, famine and plague. Most High is bringing famine and plague, okay? Tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. All right. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Yeah, Jake is so rebellious, he's not even going to think this is like, a punishment from the Most High. I better get right. I better listen to what the prophets were saying. No, the Most High just has to destroy 2/3 of our people on this side, here in America, that is. Because 2/3 prophecy is dealing with 2/3 of the Israelites in America, Verse 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. All right, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the cities shall be cast down. All right. So, that these pestilences, man, they're coming. All right. Whether it be this one or whether it be another one, we know that the word of the Most High is going to come to pass. All right. So, be ready, get ready. All right. And no prepping is going to save you. All right. You could have all the equipment, all the supplies in the world, man. All right. Safety is of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? That's in Proverbs. So that's the only way. You got to trust in the Lord. You got to repent, and hope and pray that Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai be with you. Pray that Yahweh Shai keep you from the hour of temptation, right? When they make that chip mandatory, okay? Because if you take that chip, which is the mark of the beast, you're going to be destroyed in the lake of fire, all right? Which is when the nuclear missiles come and destroy America. All right, so with that, all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakak Dash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom.